My name is Kalistas Bosaletsi. I'm a Botswana journalist interested in managing data with traditional reporting. In doing so, I aim to publish compelling insight and moving stories. My areas of focus are data and investigative journalism. These are important in revealing trends and the truth about important stories that are in the public interest. During this course to learn new skills and tools of the trade in environmental and conservation news. Collaboration through such training is crucial as it opens doors to collaborate with other data journalists on illegal wildlife stories in certain countries. The tips and the tools that I use for investigating wildlife crime. There are lots of different databases and organizations that deal with illegal wildlife trade issues, such as traffic. These are important sources for data collections. But I've seen that with my experience in collecting data within this database, my experience is that donors dealing with environmental wildlife crime seem to hold much monopoly on who should have access to information, and it doesn't really involve everyone says we are in Botswana, and we also as journalists we need to be playing our role in fighting illegal wildlife crime, and even the communities. And if journalists they don't have access to this information, I might ask myself whether communities that we actually reside within areas where illegal wildlife crime take place, whether they have such kind of information. And I'm thinking, donors shouldn't be controlling such information in that manner. Illegal wildlife crime involves a number of people and countries, so there's always a need to look for information about cases from several countries. It is also crucial to cultivate good relationship with law enforcement officials, non-profit organizations, the courts, and newsmakers who can help to gather information. You get to know your data well, so that you have a good sense of what information you already have and what you need to keep looking for. I think what is needed also when you collect data is that you should always compare your data, because most of these database you see that they provide public available information, and you might be collecting same data, but if you don't compare and contrast, you might have information that is always looking at the information that is the same.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mbawo Chavola. I am what we would call a veteran journalist. I have worked in the profession since 1998 when I was about 19 years old, so I've grown up within the system. For me, I've always taken journalism as a calling, and indeed it has proven to be what I've always wanted to do in my life. I've never wanted to do anything else. As for data, I began working with data, or rather, I developed an interest in it when I joined the Women in News program on leadership. That was in 2019. That was actually my first time to get to know about data journalism. I wasn't much interested in it, but I slowly realized that it is now taking over. If you don't know or don't do data journalism, definitely you're missing out something. My experience in collecting data using the law in this country, it was a very sad experience, because whoever I talked to, they never actually wanted to even listen to what I had to say. There were others who would pretend that they were listening to me, they would pretend to oblige, but when it came for the time for me to actually be given what I wanted, they would just disappear. On WhatsApp, they would give me a blue tick, my phone would just ring. I wrote them formal emails. Some actually responded and said, "We have heard you, we'll come back to you." And the time was just passing by. I just had to find unconventional means now of looking for it. I worked like a mad woman, I can tell you, because I was just going flat out on Google, looking at so many things, wildly searching for the information. and I found it. I found actually more than I had hoped for, but I should say that it was really a struggle. And I only managed to do this because I have been in the journalism system for some time, so I know where to look. It would not be easy for somebody who is just starting out to actually get the information that I managed to get. Anyway, that's all in the past, but I would say that if you really want something, if you really want to get the information and you have a deadline and you want to honor that deadline, you will find what you want. But I must still say that I'm very disappointed with the people who are supposed to give us information for free because we have an Access to Information Act in Malawi, which is supposedly working, but they just ignore it. Anyway, if you really want it, you get it. Thank you.
My name is Sean Dlovu, and I work in Zimbabwe for the Center for Innovation and Technology. My main interest is in data-related stories with a focus on politics, environmental crimes, and hard news. So long there is data to play with, I am captivated and interested. I joined this course to improve my skills for wildlife crime reporting, to be part of a bigger network, publish improved data visualized stories, and highlight the important work that we do here at Wild Eye. One of our tasks was to turn data we have been collecting into story ideas over the past year, and to give our audience an overview of wildlife crimes in Southern Africa. Here is what our data has showed. Wildlife crime in the region is on the rise, and despite travel restrictions, traffickers are finding new ways to sell goods in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, there are certain hotspots where these crimes originate. These include the Bubi Valley Conservancy. The country struggles with resources to protect its small rhino population, and to note there are only several hundred rhinos left in Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe has a dehorning program to make rhinos less attractive to poaching targets. Zimbabwe's endangered pangolin population is also under constant threat to Southern Eastern Asian poachers. In South Africa, there are more seizures and arrests than there are court cases and successful prosecutions. According to Wild Eye data, between 15 to 18% of cases over the past 4 years have resulted in successful convictions. In Malawi, the demand for pangolins and their scales, as well as elephant tusks and ivory, remains high, and trafficking continues to be rampant in that country. In Botswana, there is an increase in rhino poaching, yet there are few seizures or arrests. There is also an unwritten shoot to kill policy against poachers, and the country has come under fire for this, with at least 12 people suspected of poaching killed in 2020. There is still a lot of work to be done in the region, and our hope with Wild Eye Southern Africa is that other journalists, researchers, non-governmental organizations, and officials join us in this fight to make wildlife crime data easily available and publicly accessible by all.
My name is Nompumele Lomtweni. I live in South Africa and I work with data and multimedia. My work is focused on communicating and producing meaningful stories that aim to drive positive impact in our society by harnessing multimedia and data. I joined this course to improve my ability to collect, to clean and understand data, to learn more about wildlife crime in the region, and to forge a diverse collaboration with other skilled data wranglers and mentors across the region. My fellow data wranglers have discussed our top tips and tools for reporting on wildlife crime, our shared struggle with using the law to access this information, and how to turn data like this into a compelling story or stories. I'm going to end off with a few of our learnings and the way forward. So what we've learned throughout this course is that data is more about people than it is about numbers. Always include a human or a humanity element to any story that you tell, even if the numbers drive it. We learn also that we need to treat all data with skepticism because numbers do not always equal facts. And sometimes there is an agenda with the accessibility of data or lack thereof. So one is to understand the process and context before you dive in it. Don't just use data as confirmation on your hypothesis. Rather, try to understand what it is that it is telling you. We've learned, again, that We need to use multiple sources and databases when you're doing research and verifying information. And if you're determined to get data, you will definitely find a way to make it happen. And now we're going to look at our way forward. So it's a plan on forging ahead. We are aiming to keep pushing for access to information. We will continue cultivating relationships with officials and those with access to information. We'll follow up with requests and keep adding data to our growing database. We will publish and encourage other journalists to publish data-driven investigations using #WorldEye Southern Africa Map. And finally, we'll collaborate with other data wranglers and grow our community. Thank you.